ARK has many useless facts, like when you get wiped on a PvP server, nobody actually really cares, or when Snail Games tries to release something in ARK, well, anyways, here's 50 useless facts about ARK. Now the Mammoth is usually known for its nice abilities, but it has one interesting ability. So when you roar by hitting C, as you can see, it kind of goes up into the air. Well, if you actually walk your way into a little bit of water, and as long as his trunk is underwater and you do it again, he will actually spray water. And funny enough, you can actually do this with crops. So if your crops need some water and you don't want to wait for it to rain, just use a Mammoth and you can actually fill it up. If you look at a Phiomia's butt and you look a little bit close, you can see its ears and its face and even a trunk, making it look just like an elephant. If you come over to these coordinates on the island, and you come over here, this is over by Carnal Island, there's actually a little note hidden back here in this rock. So you come right back here, there's the first one, it is going to be found here on the second one, and it just says Morgan R was here 5/25/15, which if you don't know, is one of the developers, or was one of the developers of the island, and you know, nobody really knows exactly why this is here. I believe it's probably because he might have made Carno Cave. Over here in the bog, which can be found here, you can actually find this little stick figure guy directly outside of the map. He's a little bit tricky to see, but if you're on the barrier, you can kind of see his little face and his little arms poking out. But yeah, this is Bogman. Nobody knows why he was put here, it's just kind of here, and kind of makes for a cool little Easter egg. But if you get too close, the terrain starts to kind of glitch out. So you gotta kind of keep your distance. But he's just made with rocks, the little blue stuff, whatever that stuff is, and you know, just some terrain sticks or something. It's kind of funny. Over here on Extinction, this little cave over here actually has a pretty cool little Easter egg in it. That's gonna be found over in the Sunken Forest, but just follow my exact thing all the way down here with a few little lag spikes here and there, of course. And as soon as you come down in here, you're gonna want to go this way and follow my exact path until you enter over here. Now just keep going right down here and just follow this, but get pretty close to the ground because you don't want to accidentally pass this. Now just keep going down until you see the little light features, which as you can see here, here's a little bit of light kind of poking out. Now, most players usually will just overlook this because the main part of the cave is back there for the Forest Titan, of course. But if you actually mine these rocks and you open this thing up, this is actually the resting place of Helena. Now let me go ahead and show you this. So we come all the way down here. Again, it's another little passageway to get down here. It takes a good minute. But it will be entered right into here. It's a little crouch entrance. Kind of wander around. You do have some dinos in here, so be careful. You have this explorer net right here. But the other thing that you have is this, which is the final resting place of Helena, which was a little bit confusing to a lot of players at first. But if you do follow the actual like storyline of the map, you will notice that this is here for her. And while there is no body in it, I'll let you guys go ahead and read the story because it's actually pretty interesting. Then there is also a second entrance over here. As you can see, there's your main area. If you come right up here, you'll notice this little area. This is your second way in to go over to the little coffin area. I'm interrupting today's video to tell you that this video is actually sponsored by the subscribe button. You see, I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers and would love your support. Since I'm not doing a sponsor for this video, it would absolutely mean the world to me. Okay, did you subscribe? Psych! This video is sponsored by Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code Outcasts for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. If you don't know and you're playing on Fjordor, most of the map is actually themed around Lord of the Rings. So for example, here's this castle right over here, and then here's the lookalike on screen if I can find it. Now there are a lot of other lookalikes as well. I'll just go ahead and just show them all on screen. It's actually insane, but the entire map is literally based around this. Over on Lost Island, over here in the jungle area, it is pretty difficult to find, but here are the coordinates on screen just for you to see. A little bit tricky, just go directly straight down and you will actually see this hatch laying here in the woods. Now, a lot of people at first were very confused about this, but this is actually a reference to the hit show Lost. If you don't know, Lost is basically a show, and it's too much to explain, but simple as this. Basically, there's a hatch in the show, and the people in the show can actually hear it knocking. Now, sadly, in ARK, there is no, sound effects on here. Maybe with the Ascended version, we will have sound effects, but I don't think there were really enough, resources back then to add the sound effects for Evolved. But it is an interesting little thing that just kind of lays here in the middle of the jungle. Over on Fjordor, here are the coordinates on screen. But if you come straight down into the water, you'll see this little bit of a kind of cave entrance, which actually leads you into a massive underwater area. Now this big underwater area has, covered with Moses, alpha stuff, all kinds of stuff. But if you travel right over here, you'll see the tail end of this massive creature. And nobody really knows what it is to this day. It's just a giant serpent is what I would imagine that it is. Maybe just a giant, I don't really know what else it could be, to be honest. And then here is the head. It is insanely massive. Here's the size of my character just for reference. But yeah, there's a lot of rumors online from, just being serpents or, the next ARK boss. I mean, since it was on Fjordor, which was the final map for Evolved, it's hard to really tell what it was truly supposed to be. And it even kind of has this little vomit with the crystals and all that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, if you guys do know anything about this, feel free to put it in the comments, because this is one thing that I still do not know to this day what it is, and a lot of people really don't know either. When exploring the ice cave and you come all the way down here into the front of the entrance, you'll notice that there is this Rex just kind of encased in ice. Now this was on Evolved and it was a little bit more detailed on Evolved, but it is on Ascended as well, and nobody really knows why this is here, especially because the Rex is insanely large. I mean, look at the size of him compared to my player. Now back on Fjordor, over here in this cave. Now if you come to exactly 17.3 and 81.3 longitude, you'll find this little area down here with these little ruins, right? Now at first you have this first little skeleton, which isn't really anything crazy, but if you look right over here, you actually have a second skeleton. And if you see here, there's actually a ring down there. Now, a lot of people don't even really notice this ring, and they're probably just, overlook it, but it's actually a reference to the Hobbit. Now, the reference that I'm seeing, now you guys can clown me all you want on this, I don't entirely know Lord of the Rings, but apparently it's for a guy named Gollum, and he lives in the cave with a lake, and the ring is basically his addiction. So, kind of a cool little Easter egg to it, especially because the map is based around Lord of the Rings. Over on Ragnarok, you'll notice this little area over here. It's just kind of like a little abandoned ruins, which is absolutely covered with dodos and just monkeys and all kinds of stuff. But there are just lots of statues in here, these little waterfalls kind of symbolizing a lot of different dinos like compies and all that, including water coming down the staircase. Now this was also on Evolved, but I have to admit that the Ascended what it is honestly kind of better. There's a lot more detail, but Evolved was the main OG one. Now, this is absolutely just covered in different, just things and just ways to kind of go. And each room has their own little statue kind of symbolizing something for ARK. But not a lot of people actually know the true purpose about why this is here. Well, this is not really related to ARK too much, other than the names that are now in here for all of just the supporters and just all kinds of stuff. The real reason why this is actually here is because it is a bit of an Easter egg to Jurassic Park. It was actually the visitor center that got destroyed in one of the first movies. Now, that is what most people believe, just with all the rumors and stuff online. I'm not entirely 100% fond about that. I think it might be just kind of here, but the Evolved one actually looked more like the visitor center itself, so not entirely sure. Again, on Ragnarok over here, pretty close to Blue Ob, you'll notice this little cave with kind of like collapsed ruins around it. Well, if you actually enter up in here, you'll be entered into a staircase in a room full of cages and just lots of just mystery stuff. I don't know why that hole's in the ground. This is brand new. That was not there before. Anyways, you'll notice a lot of corpses kind of all dead and stuff with just like a hatchet in them. But you'll also notice this one kind of just hung up on a wall and completely de-skinned. His skin is completely missing. Nobody knows why this is here. I'm not entirely sure either. There's no really backstory about this at all. You even have a war map. Nothing really too crazy about it though. But yeah, it's just another area that nobody really knows a lot about. Over here on Scorched, you'll notice this little hidden area, and a lot of people don't even really know that this is here, but it is hidden off to the side. Now these ruins are completely new. This is not on ASE. This can only be found on ASA. But when you come right over here and you go up these stairs, just follow my exact way, you kind of make your way down this little hallway. Make sure that you have a pickaxe. You'll notice it kind of goes in this room, but you'll notice there's a little bit of a crack in the wall, and believe it or not, you can actually mine this. But once it breaks, it will open up just like this, and then you are able to go down into the room. You have to crouch to get in there, by the way. So yeah, coming all the way down here, it will lead you into this little hidden area. It goes on for a good bit. You're gonna have to keep going down here, and then you will have to mine another rock. Once this rock is destroyed, you can then finally walk through, and you are greeted with this just insane cave. There is no other cave like this in the game, which is very interesting because it shows some different types of dinos that are not even in the game. It's like a prehistoric kind of system, you know, where how if we found these like in real life, it kind of just dates back to the past and all this, which does just kind of make you wonder, you know, what does this mean? What do all of these sayings mean? Like, does it have a meaning? But for the most part, these look like new-ish dinos, other than like, you know, that's the Trike, the PT, that looks to be like a kind of an Anki. It looks a little different though. Up here, again, you have a Trike, you have a Rex, it looks like, or something. People kind of worshiping a giant sword or something in a way. But over here, This one's a bit interesting because this is not your standard saddle. It's like your obelisk on the top of the dino. It is very interesting, to be honest. There's just a lot of detail about this that not a lot of people know about. I have not seen any other videos that even go over this, to be fair. So yeah, if anybody knows anything about this, please let me know. I would love to know, but I cannot seem to figure it out. Over here on Extinction, you'll notice that there is a sword just kind of in the ground, and this is a sword from one of the mechs. Now, for some odd reason, it is missing its textures. I think that's a bug, and that's probably never going to get fixed now, sadly. So it's not the official sword anymore. But yeah, you will notice it is actually Santiago's sword. It is from the storyline. So if you pay attention to all of the Explorer notes, not many players actually do, but if you do read it and you read the history with Extinction, yeah, it actually goes over Santiago, which was a fallen person. And yeah, this is his sword, which is absolutely massive. Pretty cool little Easter egg there. In both Evolved and Ascended, the Lymantria has one pretty insane ability, and that is the ability to fart on plants. By farting on plants, it actually gives them a buff and allows for plants to grow slightly faster. It's not a major upgrade, but shockingly this actually works. It's something in the dossier too. It's called a fart cloud, or you have fart spores, which basically kind of act as like the spore around it that just kind of gets absorbed into the plant, which is kind of interesting. Now when exploring on Aberration, if you go all the way down through the rings, all the way down here, you'll notice there's a very massive just set of bones here that don't even really make sense to this map at all. Considering it is insanely massive, it doesn't really have anywhere to function on this map. Well, guess what? There's one even bigger. If you come all the way back down in here and you go all the way over here and then turn up here, you'll notice there is an entrance that leads you into this hidden cave. Now this hidden cave will bring you all the way around here, and you will need to follow this hidden cave all the way through here until it brings you into this room. And then once you are in this area, turn back and come right over here. You'll notice that there is an entrance right here. Follow this entrance, it will then lead you over here into this even bigger one right here. Now sadly, this doesn't have the big spotlight on it like on Evolved. I think that spotlight really kind of brings this all together. However, it is a massive one to just find. And I mean, yes, it is technically the same set of bones. It is actually slightly bigger. And overall, I mean, this thing is quite insane. It's just like why is this here? How did it get here? You know, what all is this? There's just no backstory for this kind of stuff. Now, did you know that if you actually place 10 Parlovias on an obelisk, it will kill anybody that comes near it, no matter what kind of gear that they have on? Over on Aberration, you'll notice this little area down here that has a little bit of a waterfall and a pond. Well, if you go to these exact coordinates and you go straight up into this little area, you not only get absolutely blinded with light after the last update, but if you come straight over here and you follow my exact path, I am not cutting this because it is very confusing. You have to kind of come over here. It is very hard to even see where I'm at, but just I'm up here in this corner. You need a pickaxe and you're gonna need to mine this wall right here. Once destroyed, go ahead and enter past it. And then you'll notice that you are entered into this little kind of crystal room. You know, you have your red crystals here, but it just kind of ends, you know, there's nowhere else to go. Well, actually, this isn't a floor right here. This is another rock. So go ahead and mine this rock until it is destroyed. And then once that is destroyed, you're gonna have another rock that you'll need to mine, which is this one right here. Once that is destroyed, as you will see, it opens up into this little interesting kind of corridor that brings you all the way through here. Now, what's interesting about this cave is, well, this thing. Nobody knows anything about what this thing is. It is absolutely horrifying. It is a skeleton with how many legs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I believe 22 or 23 legs. Yeah, this thing is absolutely horrifying. Again, nobody knows what this thing is. It has a little bit of a lighting effect on it. I think that might be a bug though, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it's just kind of in this cave. There are quite a bit of skulls around, as you can see, so clearly this thing has been feasting, and it appears to have just kind of died here. Now, a lot of players think that this might be Rockwell, but that's from just the forums that I can really find even about this thing, because not a lot of people even know that it's here, because, you know, the rocks blend in so well that you would never have even known that this was in the back here. Definitely a very interesting thing to find. And yeah, if anybody knows anything about this, please feel free to let me know in the comments. This thing's horrifying. Now back on Lost Island, this little island over here can be found at 19 and 9 longitude. But here it's just the island. For reference, it is out in the middle of nowhere. But if you come back over here, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a cave. It is pretty hidden by the rocks, so not a lot of people do really notice it. And this is the island that a lot of people don't even really visit, to be fair. But you come in here, you have a little crystal, and you actually have Wilson. If you don't know Wilson, again, it is from the show Lost. And yeah, just kind of a little bit of an Easter egg. It's just a volleyball that was left in here. But yeah, it is pretty cool just to kind of see like little references of just some like movies and stuff in here. There's something I did not really expect coming from ARK. And now almost every single level after level 5 unlocks a new saddle. As you can see, it skips a couple levels, but for the most part, from level 5 all the way up to level 100, every single time you will unlock a new saddle or a set of new saddles, which is just kind of an interesting thing I figured I'd put in here. It is definitely something that, you know, nobody really needs to know because it serves no purpose at all. But yeah, up until level 100, you will either get a new saddle or a new set of saddles that unlock. Over on Ragnarok, over here on these little hills, you'll notice there's just a little thing with rocks on here, almost as if like somebody was just balancing rocks on top of this little, you know, totem, which is kind of interesting. Apparently there's one or two other ones, but I was not able to find them. But yeah, they're just kind of scattered around the map, this one kind of being the easiest one to find, but they're definitely man-made, so it's kind of cool if there's a backstory, but you know, nobody really knows to this day what this is. Now, Extinction has its fair share of just very odd areas, especially because it is a very unique map, but have you ever wondered what was outside of the map? Well, as you can see here, here's the main crater that is outside, but if you go over here into the desert, well, you see some interesting things. As you can see here are some very interesting just little patterns that were left out here in the desert, almost as if, you know, Wildcard was going to put something out here, but nothing ever really got put out here. These patterns kind of range from all types of just different little shapes, head little figures, you know, like almost as if there were a city, or maybe it was just kind of them, you know, messing around with some stuff, just kind of just determining what they wanted to do with the map. But yeah, it is definitely interesting, I'll just say that, because there are a lot of them and the patterns all kind of span the same exact style. Like for example, here are these little heads. For some odd reason, you know, they have a giant forehead and just kind of eyes, a little face, a little body. It is definitely something to look at. And nobody knows why these are here. They're just kind of here. It could mean a pattern to something, maybe on a future map or something. But yeah, they kind of go along this entire desert. They are absolutely enormous, but serve literally no purpose at all. Maybe they're just here for aesthetics, who knows. On the center, you have these two random rocks that are just kind of poking out of the water. They're poking out ever so slightly that they literally serve zero purpose in the game whatsoever. There's the first one, and here's the second one. The second one's poking out a little bit more, but other than that, they just absolutely serve no purpose and they're just here. Over on Fjordor, if you come over here to the snow area and you come right back down here, you'll notice that there is a little bit of a cave system down here. Now, if you follow this cave all the way down, it will basically bring you to these statues. So at first you have all this little area. It kind of takes a minute to get down in here. But once you are down here, you'll see this little statue thing right there. And you'll see this statue, which just has a mammoth, looks like a saber tooth, and the Calatharium, however you say his name. And guess what? This is actually a reference to Ice Age. So for all you Ice Age fans, cool little Easter egg if you ever want to go visit it. At the end of the credits for the aberration, after you kill Rockwell, you are greeted with this little trailer. Now this trailer actually shows you what Extinction was supposed to look like, but unfortunately today Extinction looks a lot different. So yeah, I figured I'd kind of just toss this in here. It is kind of interesting to learn this, but yeah, this is what Extinction was supposed to look like. And while it does look similar, it had a lot more red and a lot more kind of lava in it than it does today. And a lot of people just do forget that that was, you know, here. That was something that was teased for Extinction. So it definitely changed a lot in development. After you defeat the Ice Queen on Ragnarok, you are entered into this area down here where you can find your artifact. But there are these little death worms kind of just trapped in these eggs, and it just kind of makes you wonder, you know, how are these things getting pregnant, right? Well, it could either mean that the Ice Queen is just asexual, or it's having fun with the gig. Anyways, another little Easter egg over here that a lot of people don't even notice. Well, one of these is not its baby. It is a skeleton that just says car on it. Kind of interesting, but yeah. Now back on Ragnarok over here in this cave, this was actually known as Metal Cave, as one of the metal caves, but you can find this little area down here, and if you clear out everything down here, you'll notice there is a face in the ground. And believe it or not, this is actually one of the old developers of ARK. I think he's still developing today, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll put a photo up on screen so that you can see the reference to his face right there. It is pretty cool though that this has been here for all these years and nobody really knew about it. But yeah, he pretty much just kind of just designed it with this around. It's kind of cool though, with his little sunglasses right there and then his hat on top. If you go ahead and tame yourself a Pelagornis and land it down in the water, you can actually fish off the back of this thing. This is the only mount that allows you to actually fish off of it. Other than that, you can only do it by sitting in a chair, a bench, or just any kind of thing that you can sit on. The best part about it is you can actually move and fish at the same time. So sort of, it doesn't entirely stay still. But yeah, I mean, you can like move, switch your positions, all that good stuff. You know, it saves you a lot of time compared to just placing down a chair everywhere that you go. Almost every single time that a Quetzal spawns in the air, it spawns with some babies, and for some odd reason, the babies always fall out of the air. But instead of going back to their mom, they usually just go back straight to where they fell from the sky, and they usually always get abandoned from their mother. Sometimes they'll go back like right now they are, but sometimes they just fall and they'll just sit on the ground. So if you ever need a Quetzal, you can wait until the mom goes out of render distance and get yourself a Quetzal. It's literally that easy. Over here on Ragnarok, if you come over here to the swamp and you go directly straight down, you will actually find a reference to Shrek. Here's Shrek's little house over here. It is a little bit tricky to see though. So here's a torch. This should kind of help just to kind of show you. The lighting's a bit messed up. But you do have Shrek's entire house, which is kind of interesting. It's a cool little thing that they added. Also, they put Shrek's little outhouse as well. Over here in Highlands on Ragnarok, you have the lighthouse right here. If you go directly underneath this, you'll find this little rock. Go directly straight down in admin mode, and you'll find this underground little house. Now this house over here has some pretty interesting things in it. As you can see, you have like a lot of just custom little stuff in here, which I wish we actually had in the game. But you have the ARK modding contest winner thing, you have little trophies, stuff on the wall, a war map, you have a little bookshelf with actual physical items in it, which is pretty cool. Again, you have more over there, you even have chairs. You have these actual people in here, which is pretty cool. You have little seeds and fruit, little flowers and all that. You got a direwolf even on the ground, which is alive. They're just sitting there kind of sleeping, doing their own thing. You also have a bed with a sleeping bed on it. Kind of interesting there. But yeah, over here you have stuff with like C4 and all that in it. And back over there, you actually have a stego and a baby, or well, 2 babies to be exact. But you do have little trees, background, all kinds of stuff. And guess what? This was supposed to be the starting menu for Ragnarok, but it got canceled for some odd reason. I don't know what was going on. So your camera angle was probably going to be something like this, I would imagine, and then you could go ahead and customize like your character and all that. But yeah, this was the creator screen. So to this day, nobody knows why this was never used, but they just left it in as a little Easter egg, which is kind of cool. And I'm pretty sure that you can break some of the items in here. I think you can break the map. Yeah, like you can break the maps and stuff, and well, sort of, it ain't really working, but yeah, cool little Easter egg. If you want to go ahead and check it out, you can find it directly under the map. Now, for some odd reason, you can actually tame these coalfish with a fish basket. They serve absolutely no purpose at all, and for some odd reason, you can tame them, but you can't tame things like piranhas. Doesn't really make sense. The Phoenix will randomly poop out silica pearls and black pearls, but it's not really enough for it to even matter. It only poops out about 1, and they decompose in less than 2 minutes, making it honestly kind of useless unless you have an auto collector. But other than that, yeah, the Phoenix has some pretty cool abilities, but pooping that out is definitely something. If you don't know the nerdy glasses, which are a item skin, it can be put on your helmet. But believe it or not, it's not nerdy, it's actually nerdery. So nerdery basically kind of just refers to Jurassic Park. If you don't know about the scene where he died, I can't unfortunately show it. But yeah, here's his glasses, which are a little bit messed up. As you can see, it's kind of broken up there on the top. Just a cool little reference that a lot of people really don't know about. Now, back in the day, whenever the unicorn was released, it actually was able to kind of poop rainbows. So back in the day, it actually had a kind of like rainbow stream that came out behind it, and when it pooped rainbow poop. And when consumed, this rainbow poop literally made you start tripping out, similar to the aberration mushrooms. Kind of insane. I can't get it to work today. I'm pretty sure it was taken out of the game. If I'm doing something wrong, please let me know down in the comments. But yeah, kind of an interesting fact that just doesn't make sense. So yeah. If you've ever thought that Lost Island looked a little bit too familiar, well, look at these two maps side by side. If you don't know, Lost Island was actually themed around Tamriel, which is from Skyrim. So yeah, a lot of players who didn't even know that about it, and not to mention all the countless things in game, kind of prove this with just the castle, the style, how the map is laid out. So yeah, it was actually based around Skyrim, which is a pretty cool fact. The Patchy has the ability to run and just kind of attack things like this, which one-shots wooden spikes, by the way. Just a little tip, didn't even know that. Kind of crazy though that the Patchy, has been in the game for this long and has been considered one of the more useless kind of dinos. Well, it can just straight up go straight through wooden spikes with one shot and it doesn't even hurt them. When encountering Troodons at night, holding out a torch actually de-aggroes them off of you. And again, as you can see, they literally jump right back on me and then they're instantly de-aggroed. As soon as I put it away, they're back on me again. And yeah, just like that. You can also toss the torch as well around you and they won't mess with you at all. Now for some odd reason, these guys in front of me are just spinning. Now did you know that the kangaroo actually has two parts of his saddle? The first one being up top, as you can see there, and the second one is actually down here in his pouch, meaning that you can carry along a second player. Simply go into his inventory, go to passenger seats, and hit board pouch. As you can see, you only have a limited view that you can see, but you can have another player kind of just hop you around, which is very important for boss fights or just kind of traveling around. And here's what your player looks like in the pouch. Definitely looks very uncomfortable. Every single time that a trike is near a hostile dino like a Rex, Giga, or anything just that is bigger than it, their heads actually start to glow red, and this just shows everybody nearby that there is a hostile that is near them. Over on Fjordor, there's this cave over here that looks like this next to this giant gold mountain. If you enter it, it actually will tell you all of the names of the people who are supporting the map, including some of the developers, but mainly just kind of supporters. So yeah, back in here you have just a giant list of people. As you can see, I'll name some of them off. So you got like CK, Alan, Tony, you got Rainer. You get a bunch of different names in here, which is just for sponsorships. Not to mention you have a G-Portal sponsor in here, which is pretty cool. Actually, one of my sponsors too. Shout out to them. But yeah, back over here, cave is pretty interesting. You have two more things, which gives a little bit of light to Syntac, which is one of ARK's biggest content people. And over here you have Grumpy, which is this kind of dino. I'm not entirely sure what the backstory is for most of these names in here, to be honest, other than those. But yeah, Syntac one is pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure for this one. Located all around ARK on every single map, you'll notice there is a lot of just this floating grass. And yeah, it's quite literally all over the place. It is extremely annoying. All around ARK on every single map, you'll notice this grass. But did you actually know a lot of it is just kind of hovering? It's not even attached to anything. There's nothing that you can do about it, especially just because it's here. And yeah, it's gonna forever be like this. I don't think this stuff's ever gonna get fixed. This one is just insane. I mean, it's literally inverting when you look at it. When you're in the menu to play on single player, as you can see here, you have these little banners on the side, right? Well, every single one of them has a dino on it, except for the center. So the island has one with a raptor, Scorched has it with the dinos, Aberration, dinos, Extinction, dinos, Ragnarok, got dinos, Falgero has dinos, Astraeos even has dinos, but for some odd reason, the center is just plain. Yes, you have that dino up there. So for my OCD friendly fans, I'm sorry. When taming a rock golem on official servers and you have one completely knocked out and you want to feed it stone, and it is a level 150, it will take 60 total hours to get it until it is fully tamed. Yes, 60 full hours. If you have an otter in your base, fun fact, this little headpiece in their inventory actually allows them to have their own helmet. So for example, you can put on a little chitin helmet, a flak helmet, a riot helmet, and even a miner's helmet. And as you can see, he is absolutely adorable. Everybody leave a comment good boy for Mr. Otter here. And you can't deny how cute that this dude looks with a riot helmet on. I mean, come on, look at this little thing. If you don't know, if you ever wander across a base and it is an enemy base that was just kind of left and abandoned, and as long as the ceiling is open, if you throw a monkey over, and you have it whistled on to follow, and you knock on the door or just kind of get him near the door, he will actually open up the door and just walk his way out. Just kind of cool, basically allowing you to unlock other people's doors for you. And then you can just kind of go in and just loot the extra stuff in a base that was left behind. When you're riding on the Andrewsarchus and you go inside for first person, inside of here you have two little symbols, the first one being a kill count, which I'm not entirely sure what this is for, and then over here you have kind of a little bit of an Easter egg. So you have the hammer in here, along with an ARK logo, a little happy face, and this guy holding a camera. Kind of interesting. I don't entirely know what this is for, but I figured I'd kind of put it in here. Over here on Fjordor, on top of this little hidden mountain right over here, you'll notice there is a bit of ruins, and this bit of ruins actually has a statue of the Noglin Man. Yes, this is a reference to one of the old memes with the Noglin back in the day. If you know it, then you know it. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it. Simple as that. It's pretty funny. If you're ever on the go and you need to go ahead and power a refining forge and a campfire and you don't have any wood in either of them, well, actually, if you have yourself a pyromane, they can light it for you. simply go into their inventory and then go down here to change fire sources and go ahead and change it to either low, medium, or high. I'm just going to do high, and as you can see, it instantly will turn these on. And this does work for a couple other things, but for the most part, it's just the refining forge and campfire. I'm not entirely sure what the other ones are, but according to the forums that I'm seeing, it can light quite a bit of stuff. And the last most important thing, well, this is a rock. Thanks for watching.